Hi, my name is Genevieve and I'm going to show you how to make pandesal. Pandesal is the bread of the Philippines, the softest, fluffiest, most delicious pandesal ever. Let me show you what the ingredients are and then we'll get started. 1 1/4 cup of evaporated milk, 1/4 cup of sugar, 1 egg at room temperature, 3 cups of bread flour, 1 1/2 tablespoons of powdered milk, 1/2 tablespoon of sugar, 1 packet of instant yeast, 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter that's been softened, and 1 teaspoon of salt. Then we have breadcrumbs for later. So first, whenever you're working with bread, think warm because you're going to want the yeast to activate, and it's not going to activate if it's cold or too hot. So I'm taking my evaporated milk and I microwaved this for maybe like around 45 seconds till it was warm. You don't want it too hot again because it's going to kill your yeast. Just warm to the touch. If it feels too hot, it probably is going to be too hot. And then I'm going to take my sugar and add it in. I'm going to mix it till it dissolves a little bit, which shouldn't take too long because it's warm. Okay, now I'm going to add my egg. Mix you a little. Now I'm going to add my dry ingredients together. I have my bread flour in here. I'm going to add my powdered milk and my sugar and my yeast. Mix this a little bit. I'm going to take my milk mixture, add it. I'm going to mix it a little bit. Okay. The total time that this should be mixing is 10 to 15 minutes. So I'm going to set a timer just so I can keep a track of how long it's been mixing. It's formed some sort of ball, so now I'm going to add my butter. This is what my mixer is doing.
Mix it on low. If you mix it too high, it's going to come out tough, so you want to be gentle, be nice with it.
In goes my 1 teaspoon of salt. Okay, my dough has been kneading for about 15 minutes, and I stopped because I judged it by its cover, and let me show you what it looks like. So the outside looks really smooth like this. And that's my first way to tell that it's almost done. So now I'm going to do a window test, and this is another way that I determine the dough is done kneading. And I just take a little bit, and I think I got too much, and I'll flatten it out like this, and then I'll like slowly stretch it. And if I could stretch it to where it's almost see-through like a window, then I know it's done. That means the gluten is activated. So you just tap it like this, and you could kind of see like it gets kind of like see-through like that. So this dough is done kneading and it could rise. Spray this bowl because it's going to rise in here. Then I'm going to make this into a nice ball. Then I'm going to place it in here. Spray the top a little. And then I'm going to cover it. I don't want to seal it all the way too much. I'm just going to leave like a little vent. Okay. And then I want this to rise in a place that's dry and warm. So if it's raining outside, if it's really humid outside, that might affect this rising, or if it's really cold outside, it might affect it rising. So what I do to make sure I'm not waiting all day for this to rise is I turn my oven on for about a minute, and then I turn it off so that it kind of gets warm but not too hot, and then I stick it in the oven with the oven light on. Your oven is already a dry environment, so you can use that to your advantage when you're trying to proof bread. Okay, my bread is done proofing, and it looks like this. And this took about 2.5 hours to get here. And I'm going to do a poke test, and that's how you know your dough is done proofing. You literally poke your finger in like that, and it's going to make a hole. And if that hole disappears, then it's not ready, but it's there. So when your dough is ready, like this, you punch it and let all that air out, and it'll deflate. So now I'm going to turn it over into my mat and let all that air out. Okay, I want all of my pandesal pieces to be the same, so I'm going to weigh my dough. My dough weighs 1,011 grams. This is the pan that I'm going to use, and I want 12 pieces, so I'm going to divide 1,011 by 12. Now I'm ready to cut my dough, and I want to make sure that each piece is 84 grams. I'm going to cover it because I don't want it to dry out as I work with them. So I have my pan here, my breadcrumbs, my butter, and this is what I do with my butter. I take a little piece and I just spread a thin layer onto my mat, and I'll come back to this and show you why. Then I get my pandesal and I want to deflate like the air, so I'll just work with it like this. Not too. And then I'll roll it around in the butter like so. Coat it in breadcrumbs. And the side that I pinched is going to go down onto your pan. And that's it. Do that with the rest of your pandesals. See, it's really smooth on top, and I'm like crimping at the bottom, but this is going to be the bottom, so nobody's going to see it. When they're all in the pan, then I like to go back in and rearrange it, kind of form it a little. And now we're going to cover it again, and then we're going to let this rise for maybe 30 minutes or so until it doubles in size again. So I'm going to put this guy back in the oven. They're done proofing, and it took almost an hour. It took really long for them to proof, but look, they poofed up to look like this. So now I started to preheat my oven, so it's heating up for 350. Okay, my pandesal is done baking. It was in the oven for 16 minutes. It's all nice and golden. It smells wonderful. It's still warm, and I'm gonna open one up and show you. Still hot. Okay. So it is very pillowy, soft. Check this out. Oh, yes. It just, and this is the kind of pandesal that'll stay soft for up to 3 days if it lasts that long. Okay, I'm going to try it. Pandesal is so good. Yeah. Warm, fresh, fluffy, soft, salty, sweet. It's so good. Thanks for watching.